What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map in the red color, playing as Isis, just coming off a very, very nice win in the Zeus mirror. His name is Hagrit. He's got the grit, and he will have at you. Or something like this. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Zeus. He's he likes smoking weed in his English room. Grassengroom. Eng is English and room. So we're getting somewhere. Maybe this makes some sense. Anyways, 1-1 now. It is best of 5, so both players have still got to win one more game before they get to that game point. But we are seeing Hagrit rolling the dice pretty hard here. I think most of the top players would agree that Isis might be one of, if not the weakest gods on competitive Mega Random because of the lack of scouting that's going on that you can get at the start of the game. So we do see Hagrit managing to find his hunt here very, very quickly. So that's completely fine for Hagrit. But the problems do arise later in the game if you don't find the extra hunt. Now, there is an elephant up here, but whether or not Hagrit's going to be able to eat that or not with Isis is always a challenge. So so let's talk about the big problems that Isis faces and how it's changed over time. So if we recall way back when, let's go back to the year 2003. The average advance time from players was somewhere around 5:30 to 6:30. This was the average advance time, which means that by the time a Zeus player would be able to send their heroes out or army out and harass an Isis player, the Isis player would more than likely have been advancing or have the resources to advance to the heroic age. So a one-town center fast heroic seemed like it was almost impossible to punish. Fast forward a little bit, and you come into the end of the Age of Mythology Ensemble Studios online server days, and they're just like, Isis is still strong. People are starting to advance faster. The advance times are still somewhere around 4:45, 5 minutes-ish. Still not very fast. Maybe Magyar or Mr. going as fast as 4:30 most of the time, but they're still kind of slow. But what Isis players were doing in that situation were they were actually making priests and pharaoh to kind of defend their hunts. And people were still a little bit slow, so they could kind of get away with it. And then beyond all that, they had these crazy safe maps where there would often be like gold mines on second town centers, tons of food on second town centers. These were the Ensemble Studios maps that they had given us. So then we fast forward through to Voobly balance patch days. Everyone is advancing around 4 minutes to 4:30 with Greek. Isis players are moving on to their second hunt around 3 minutes 30 seconds. So the heroes are hitting that hunt within a minute and a half of them actually getting onto that hunt. So things start going downhill really, really fast for the Isis players in the early stages of the game. So Isis players in general they have to work out how they can get access to their second hunt. And the fact of the matter is, because they have such weak hunting, the consistency goes down the drain. If you miss where your hunt is, things are going to be really, really bad. Tons of relics. So that's the history lesson. So let's move on from the history lesson, and we're going to check out the relics here because there's tons of relics on this map. We've got the Oseberg wagon in the corner. Absolutely huge here for Hagrit. We've got ourselves the Canopic Jar of Imseti, which is the extra 15% infantry training time, or the reduction of training time in that respect. The Wedged Eye, which is our cheaper myth units by 10%, and the Head of Orpheus. Pretty underrated relic here, extra 8 line of sight. If you consider some relics which we think are decent, that's like 150 wood, because it's even a little bit better than Signal Fires. And it also applies to walls, which is actually a really, really big buff, a really, really good thing there for the relics. So Grassengroom right now going up through Hermes. We're seeing Flood of the Nile Husbandry coming through for Hagrit, and Hagrit going for a late advance here. Now, this signifies fast heroic off of one town center. I'm telling you, any top player who is playing Isis or Set who decides to get wood in the Archaic Age is going one town center plays. Now, it might be a fast heroic, it might be a classical fight. I would assume that a classical fight might tend to be more of a as we see the villagers retreating away. A classic fight might tend to be more of a faster advance time, kind of go more like 4-minute advance time, and then put one villager on wood while you're advancing in order to get in order to get yourself the upgrades or things like that, as we do see the centaur coming in to push off of this this gold over here, as the villagers do dodge out the special ability there of the centaur. Nice micro there from Hagrit. As Hagrit is deciding to get onto these berries, I actually would have preferred him to go onto the pigs at this point. We were having a cheeky herdable conversation before this game, but in this position with husbandry, it doesn't make any sense to not actually go onto these herdables. You're probably not going to be very heavy on food a little bit later anyways, and it can be pretty important to get all the food you need. As the no armory just yet coming down. There's the armory now for Hagrid. He does have exactly 235 wood in the bank, so he's going to be able to get himself. Oh, he doesn't have pickaxe yet. So I thought he got the perfect amount for shaft mine, but no, he doesn't have pickaxe. So fine, going to get himself pickaxe. Start working on that shaft mine a little bit later. The armory is going to be coming up. Hagrid's going to be a little bit slow to the second age, but we're seeing Grassengroom throwing himself down his second town center here. It is this correct town center. So against Isis, if you know the Isis is going one town center, the correct play for Greek, and especially Zeus, is to get the back town center. You don't want to go forward town center because that brings the timing faster to you. So go to the back town center, and especially a town center that is behind where your hometown center is, means that your opponent has to kind of attack you in your main base where you put all your buildings, and you can make things a little bit challenging for him to get in and get big damage done. So now we are seeing a barracks getting dropped here for Hagrid, as he's just about finishing up here on in his classical age. He's getting himself hands in the pharaoh. This villager will finish. There's a whole bunch of villagers right now on the pigs, so they will be able to drop their resources in and advance. I would assume, there he goes, exactly 800 food there. 6 villagers on the, or 5 villagers on the food, only 3 on wood right now. So I'm not 100% sure what Hagrid's plan is here, as that villager gets very close to falling here, as the Osberg wagon has been picked up by Grassengroom. Definitely want to keep that away from the Isis player here, as we've got 34 population. Hagrid, 30 population. Grassengroom, as he does lose something here. Maybe, oh, lost a villager to the elephant. Is he losing 2 villagers to the elephant? He loses 2 villagers to that big, scary elephant there. That is, that's a terrifying sight if you're a Grassengroom fan. Losing 2 villagers to an elephant definitely shows some mental fatigue after that big loss in game number 2. Starting to see some priests coming out. There is a world where Priest Siege works against Greek, but that world is way back in 2003 when Greeks had no idea what they were doing. In 2022, however, you want to go Chariot Archers, you want to get Scorpion Men, you want to live the dream. Do we have a second monument up for Hagrid yet? No, just the one. So this is something that I definitely do encourage players, as we are seeing that monument coming up now, is when you're going one town center Isis to get 2 monuments, the second monument comes up while you're advancing to the heroic age, or if you can get it in the classical age, get it in the archaic age, get it in the archaic age, because you want to be getting out tons of Scorpion Men to go in tandem with your eclipse, or your ancestors' eclipse. As we are seeing some Chariot Archers now starting to get built, and the game will be continuing here pretty slowly, as we see the buildings getting thrown by Grassengroom. Grassengroom definitely showing some high level base building shenanigans here. Now, this here is something which I actually don't think is as strong as people have thought it was. If you look at someone like Squash, who I believe most would say is one of the cleanest Age of Mythology players around what Squash is actually doing of late is he's leaving little gaps between his buildings to allow him to have either one, to bait the opponent's units into those gaps, or use them as choke points. So that's something to really think about if you're playing and base building, is to just leave little gaps in your base, depending on the civilization you're playing against and what army composition you're going as well. As the Scorpion Man does come in, going to be hitting a little bit of damage over here. It's Grassengroom wandering forward to try and take down some units. Hagrit's pulling back. And now Hagrit here, ready to start moving forward. He's got the population advantage. Now, the timing you want to hit is the timing your opponent's town center comes up +5. That +5 minutes, that's effectively the perfect time to hit your timing. So if that town center was up at about 6 minutes, which it was, Hagrit wants to be clicking Ancestors Eclipse just before 11 minutes to have the biggest advantage he possibly can, because that's the time in which your opponent's town center has just paid itself off, which means your opponent is down resources a lot in terms of everything, and they're going to start shooting up in front of you by quite a bit here. As you do see, the units have pushed in. No siege towers on the front here, as the Hippocon are pulling around the corner. Hagrit can't really get into his opponent's base right now, as he is walled in, like you see in, like you could imagine. I could imagine this base here being a campaign base in a big way, as Hagrit's town center is now not town center. Hagrit's Migdol stronghold is now under siege here, as his chariot archers are coming out, going to be able to take down some of these Civicon to need to retreat away from the chariot archers here, as a cavalry does pop out, and Grassengroom will be deciding to retreat away from here as the buildings are getting taken down. The siege tower here for Hagrit trying to move forward. We still haven't seen this attack just yet being launched. So right now, actually, surprisingly, Grassengroom's villages, they're not as far in front as I would have thought. I think Grassengroom's been struggling a bit in terms of his production of villages, and Hagrit's been picking off villages nicely here. There's only a 4 villager differential here, which makes no sense given the town center's been up for 5 minutes. As a handful of units are getting taken down, Hagrit not taking care of that over here, as the units are going to probably continue to push through the middle, as some cheeky raids coming in onto this position. I love that this Sphinx is tanking that town center, allowing the units to come in here and get some real big damage done, as the stable is about to get taken out. The Hippocon coming back over onto this location, but a handful of cavalry are now coming out for Hagrit, dealing with those Hippocons nicely, as the cavalry wandering in onto this position over here. The stable about to fall. The tower over here going to be going down as well, to basically just chariot archers, a pharaoh, and a scorpion man, as these stables are going to get taken down. Grassengroom's got himself 900 wood in the bank for whichever reason you would expect him to have that wood in the bank. Not sure what it's for, whether it's just to spam buildings out or whatnot, but right now Grassengroom has to think about ceasefire, and he waits too long on it. The gold mine expires, the siege tower is coming through, the villagers are going to be in a lot of pain here as they have to retreat away. They do have a gold mine over here that's not so bad. And now the villagers pop out, going to try and snipe down the siege towers. You have to be very, very quick with your siege tower micro here. These villagers do tons of damage. You can already see a big amount of damage has come onto one of those siege towers here as they retreat over this side. The villagers popping out over here as the ancestors are running rampant through Grassengroom's base. Grassengroom has to pull his Hippocon as well, as these siege towers are still not quite able to take the town center down here. One thing you can do is just go after the houses first instead of straight the town center here, because Grassengroom's defense actually fairly strong. Oftentimes targeting things that don't have garrison function is a lot better, but than going after the town center or the fortress or something like that if there's a whole bunch of other buildings around. So we will see that that siege tower does get taken down, as Grassengroom's villager count has dropped below Hagrit's here. Hagrit might want to think about getting himself a second town center himself here, as but the problem for Grassengroom is that 64 population, and he can get gold starved. He can get gold starved right here. I don't think that Hagrit's going to realize that there is a gold mine over there, but Hagrit's going to have to be thinking that well, where do I go to shut him down? Because his gold is gone. There's 118 gold in the bank. There's actually no stables anywhere. A whole bunch of farms getting thrown up here. Grassengroom's military production is shot. Grassengroom's gold economy is shot. And Hagrit's timing has inflicted way more than enough damage than he could have ever imagined here. As the villagers are going to be attempting to get to their gold mine, but where are they going? They are drunk. They're running straight through the army. Grassengroom, no! What's happening? This is going to be a giveaway in a big way that his villagers are making their way to said gold mine, as these villagers here have found somewhat of a path through the forest, but no path through the forest. They're very drunk, and they're like, oh no, oh god, we're all dead. Oh dear, oh dearie me, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, they're dead. Okay, some stables getting thrown up here for Grassengroom, but they are going to be getting taken down incredibly fast here, as the siege towers do make a very strong push into this hometown center. The villagers have managed to get onto this gold mine. We do see that the army of Hagrit has spotted that location here, as Grassengroom's also on this gold mine over here. So pretty smart to go onto both of those, as more stables are getting thrown down. But right now, the big problem for Grassengroom, apart from the fact he's got no population, is that he's got no upgrades on those Hippocons. So even at medium upgrades, the Hagrit army is actually strong enough here to the Hagrit army here is actually strong enough to kind of do whatever he wants. The army of Grassengroom, even if he had 115 population, would not be able to compete with Hagrit's army because it doesn't have medium cav. And in this moment, Grassengroom does decide to tap out as Hagrit displays the age-old Ancestors Eclipse timing push. This one's a tough one to hold. It's been held before. It's not the be-all and end-all strategy. There are plenty of ways in which Zeus and Greek alike can go to town center defense against the Ancestors Eclipse. Chariot Archer, Scorpion Man, Siege Tower kind of strategy here. We are seeing some cavalry getting mixed in, but there are ways in which this can be defended, but Grassengroom does not execute in this game. If you guys enjoyed this game, I should say before that all credit goes to Hagrit though for executing him. If you guys did enjoy this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.